Hello there, men, and welcome to the Masculinism Movement channel, a place for men to be men and talk about masculinity and men's issues. I'm your host, Brian Kroll, and today I want to talk to you a little bit about the different types or levels of romantic fairy tales that we are sold on. I've noticed throughout life that there's all these different levels of romance that we're sold on through our modern mythos, as I've talked about before, as we see romance and love stories in the media, as well as the way that people talk about dating and relationships and such. And the first level is just a simple emotional or romantic connection. The type of connection you have with someone who you would then start dating and then, maybe become, a couple with. People talk about this thing called emotional connection or romantic connection. However, what I've noticed is that this thing is impossible to define. How do you know if you have a real emotional or romantic connection with someone, and if that is real, and if it is healthy? There's no way to verify that you do in fact have this thing, or that if you feel that you have it, if you're sure that you have it, that it is the right emotional connection, or that it is healthy at all. In fact, as a man, you often have to worry, is this just emotional manipulation by the woman, which unfortunately, oftentimes it is, and the emotional connection that you thought was there is erroneous. It wasn't actually even there. All right, but if you do feel that you have an emotional connection with someone, and you then can potentially proceed to the next level, you might be able to make it to the next form of romantic fairy tale that we are sold on, which is making love with a woman. This is something you can do with someone without being in love with them. Again, it's hard to define. It's basically sex that involves some sort of emotional or romantic connection. You involve it in the sex, and you might feel some loving feelings there, or at least be very passionate and intimate about the sex, right? And it's generally going to be very good and very pleasurable and result in hopefully a really great orgasm or multiple orgasms if you are a woman. That is what they call making love. However, the way I just described it, that's not like a definition for it. Again, because this is kind of an abstract concept here, right? People could argue about what it means to make love. For instance, I'm in the porn industry. With my last girlfriend, I felt like we were making love on camera, and I've spoken with other pornographers about making love, whereas religious people would say, that's not making love because it's in porn, so it's too dirty to be lovemaking. Lovemaking, in its pure form, could only be done in a marriage. Or someone else could say that you can only make love with someone who you do actually love, right? So just an emotional connection or romantic connection is not enough. You can't make love with just anyone just because you feel like you have a connection with them. There has to actually be love there. So that brings me to the next level of romantic fairy tale. Making love is still actually pretty low here, and love is certainly a big next step from that. When you love someone, that means... what does love mean exactly? I mean, I think we all agree that it's like a caring. You care about someone. We're sort of sold this, again, a romantic fairy tale ideal of love here without it having a good definition or meaning for us to rely upon. Understand? So it's like, yes, someone says I love you, or you say I love you to someone. And what does that mean exactly? You can ask someone what it means, and when they try to tell you, it might not even make sense. It might not even feel really that assuring that they do, in fact, love you in a way that to you seems real, right? And people have often felt this when being told I love you by someone, that they just don't feel as though it's real or right or whatever it is that they say. And that is when they think, well, maybe that's because just feeling as though you love someone in a general sense of caring and telling someone you love them isn't enough. What you need is to go deeper than that into these feelings of love and actually fall into love and be in love with someone, right? Almost as though you're like engulfed in love, engulfed in a feeling or an experience of love. That is the next level of romantic fairy tale. When love is not enough, it's because you didn't actually fall into it and weren't deeply in it enough with the person, or maybe they hadn't fallen in it with you and weren't deeply in it enough with you. So that is the next level, which is so much greater than just basic love and caring. But even for some people, it's not enough, right? Because sometimes they fall out of love, or worse yet, they realize that while they had thought that they fell into it and were in love with someone who was in love with them, that they were actually wrong and that was not real love. it was, again, erroneous. They discovered it to be some sort of false or fraudulent form of love that tricked them, right? And what they need to really look for is actually the next level of romantic fairy tale, which is real love, all right? They've experienced fake love, falling in, being in love with someone without it being really real. But what they really need is real love. So that's what they'll look for next, trying to find someone who they can have real, authentic love with. If you're enjoying listening to what I have to say, please like, share, and subscribe. And if you feel I'm adding value to your life, you can also tip me at the PayPal link below in proportion to the amount of value added. Your support will help me be able to continue this work because the oppressive fascists at YouTube are against this kind of content and actively trying to suppress it. So it is only with the help of viewers like you that I'll be able to keep fighting the good fight against the evil fucking matriarchy. And when that real love still fails and, just isn't a good enough kind of love for them, they can move on to the next level of romantic fairy tale, which is true love. See, the problem is that while that love was real, they were actually in love with the person and did care about them, that person wasn't their true love. Understand the distinction there? So obviously real love and true love are two different things. Just because you've had love before and it wasn't false doesn't mean that it was true. Okay, it can be real without being true. And what you want is not just a real love, you need your true love. So then you can go about your journey to love by looking for true love. Now, some people may even take this level of romantic fairy tale a little further by looking for their one true love. Right? So I used to look for true love by being polyamorous. But then there are people out there who are monogamous who say that the way that I was doing it isn't even true enough. That your truest love is your one true love. There has to be only one person out there for everyone else. That is a mantra that I am sure you have heard women love reciting this mantra, that there's someone out there for everyone. They just find it so reassuring when they are breaking up with a perfectly good guy just because he doesn't make them feel, in love enough, or give them enough of the romantic fairy tale feeling. They tell themselves and him there's someone out there for everyone. It's just so reassuring during a breakup. And if you find your one true love, you can then advance to the next level of romantic fairy tales, which is becoming life partners or a married couple, where you do the whole romantic fairy tale wedding and exchange meaningless vows and sign a contract that isn't worth the paper that it is written on to the man, but to the woman is the most valuable piece of paper she will ever receive in life, and really balances out or negates the negative value that she sunk into her college diploma. And so being a married couple and having that nice house with the white picket fence, a yard for future children to run around in, and a kitchen and dining room that the woman doesn't know how to use, and laundry, and building this domestic life together is the next romantic fairy tale, and it is such an idyllic one at that. However, even though it is so idyllic, it is still not enough for most people, especially women these days, who end up getting divorced because even though they had true love with a life partner who they were married to, they felt there was still something missing, and that thing is spiritual connection. So a lot of people get divorced and then seek someone who they can have an even higher calling with than that, and someone who is even more right and perfect for them than their one true love, which is the next level of romantic fairy tale that we're sold on and is called your soul mate. Oh, your soul mate is someone who is matched perfectly with your actual spirit that has existed since before you were born. And some people will, say that you two are actually destined to be together spiritually since before birth and will still be together after you die for all eternity. Oh my God, that is so much better than just being a life partner and married couple together with your one true love. That is such an amazing romantic fairy tale. You have to go after that instead of just having a, functional domestic partnership with someone who you have, healthy love with. So people look for their soulmate and oftentimes will find someone who they think is their spiritual partner, only to find out that it is just narcissistic codependency opposite of a, functional relationship with healthy love. And so when that doesn't work out, they go back to soul searching and trying to figure out what went wrong and how they could finally find their spiritual partner in life. And they realize it's because looking for their soul mate was not the right thing to do, and they need to go beyond that into the next highest level of romantic fairy tales, which is called your twin flame in the New Age community. This is someone who is literally your spiritual other half. Like, you guys, yours two souls are actually one soul that was like cut in half before you were born, or something like that, right? So you guys are basically one and the same, and there's nothing codependent about that kind of thinking. And if you were to find a spiritual life partner who believed that, there would certainly be no level of narcissistic consumption of your spirit going on there. Because that is the highest level of romantic fairy tale. I mean, romance doesn't get any bigger or better than that. But it is all bullshit. Every single one of those is just a fairy tale, okay? And believing in it is like believing in a fairy tale, like a Disney film, is like believing in mythology. And the truth is that what is really going on here with people who have this kind of thinking is that it's not that they love someone, it's that they love the idea of them, the idea of what they ought to be to them. The idea of living out the romantic fantasies that they've been programmed with the dream of through their modern mythos and the romantic fairy tales that they have been consuming throughout life, ever since childhood. Unfortunately, none of it is actually real, and you need to give up this kind of delusional, fantasy-based thinking because it is not healthy. It won't get you anywhere except in very emotionally malignant, codependent relationships, which will wreak havoc on your mental health. And the only way to stay mentally healthy is to stop believing in these kinds of fairy tales and stop listening to your emotional mind at all. Be reasonable, be rational. Don't allow lust for love and emotional neediness to hijack your brains and cause you to think that you are falling in love with someone who isn't healthy for you and your relationship with is just emotional codependence. And in fact, for you men out there watching this, the best thing that you can do for yourself is to be independent from women and go your own way. That is the only way to ensure your mental health and your success in life as well.
That concludes this video. Thanks for listening. I hope I mansplained that good enough for you. If you like what you heard, please click the like button. And if you feel you gained some value from this video and would like to give some back, please do so with the PayPal link below, because your support helps fund me doing this work and fight the good fight for men like you. If you are ready to take the red pill and wake up from the matrix and the matriarchy controlling it and learn everything you need to know about female on male sexism, get your copy of my newly released book called Misandry Exposed. On sale now for a special price that won't last long. So check it out by clicking the link below. And otherwise, take care of yourselves, men, because no woman out there is going to.